Oh, we lost Frank again. Everything start the show. Well, hello there, Applebite.
no.
Applebite, Written Writ, Ralph talking to you straight from our show here, the Written Writ, a show where you and I and you get creative, have fun, and geek out. Of course, we got our pal Bruce here and the Shadow Man himself. And if Frank could get back on, we'll have Frank too.
He's here in spirit always.
Yeah, I can see that he's back there somewhere, but it says device not connected. Oh man. All right, folks. I know you missed us on Monday, but we took like a day off, and it was good. It was restful. It was what it was supposed to be, a nice holiday. And
That's right. You guys do anything good over the long weekend?
I did a lot of fun stuff just here at home, relaxing. Is that right? I think that's right. Well, that's it, folks.
As of December 31st, I retired, so every day is a holiday for me now.
Ooh. See, that's the way to work it, man. That's how I felt like when they fired me from my job. I was like, okay, now it's time to relax. That happened to me. 10 years ago.
As long as you can pay your bills.
Well, we own the house, so.
A good Groundhog's Day.
Groundhog's Day. So we're going to repeat the day over and over and over and over. Bruce, you are heading off this weekend to Garden State Comic Fest Winterfest. And you're going to show off all your beautiful things this weekend. Wait. Why don't we just kick this off and you tell the people who you are, what you do, and all the other fun thing that comes with that. There goes Frank right there.
Sure, thanks. Sure, thanks, Ralph. My name is Bruce Klein. I'm a pyrographer, which means wood burner. I specialize in comic book covers. I will transfer them onto the wood. I will burn them into the wood, and then I'll color them usually using colored pencils or acrylics. Put 5, 6, 7 coats of urethane on them, and then some butcher blocks, wax. I brought a couple examples to show the people if they're not familiar with what I do. This is a classic. You still there?
Yeah.
There we go. Okay.
Big screen.
There we go. That's a classic Deadpool comic book. That's the actual book. So I wood burned it, and that's the wood burn.
Damn. Dude.
That's sick.
Oh. It looks almost exactly
identical, yeah.
All right, so that's you can see that has thickness. That's the wood. That's the comic.
Yeah, but you were holding it front, but you couldn't tell the difference between the left and the right one, and that's crazy.
Right. So I'll do some that I don't color, and this is a famous black and white Three Jokers. I guess you guys have seen this many times.
Beautiful.
So I mean, it takes a lot of time and effort to get all that detail in there. I showed Raf one earlier this afternoon because I waited a long time to do this till my skills caught up with it. This is probably one of my favorite comic covers of all time. It's from 1939, but as soon as you see it, you'll recognize it.
Oh, wow.
And that's wood.
Man.
That's amazing. That's what that is.
Bruce, how long does it take you to do like one of those?
Each one, depending on the amount of detail, can be 25 to 30 hours.
Wow.
Woo.
Right.
Wow.
I did Spider-Man for Christmas.
Dude, I love that cover. It's one of my favorite
awesome.
covers with Santa on the cover like that. Oh, dude.
Yep.
I can remember buying that off the newsstand.
Yep. That, and basically, since it's only my hobby, I do what I like or what I find interesting. For a long time, I did a lot of comic covers of debuts, the first Superman, the first Hulk, the first Spider-Man, etc. Then I did the first villains. Now I do things that I've accumulated about 80 of these now, maybe more, plus all the other things that I do. So I'll do something like this because I found it. And I love Keith's work. And I said, wow, that's a great cover, Keith.
Dude, you got to go over to Keith Williams' booth and take a picture.
I will.
You should have him sign it.
Yeah. Oh, he will. And then I did one for Scott, too. That's a Scott Hanna.
Oh.
Wow.
Damn.
Right.
Oh,
but so what's happened is I've started getting some commissions, and I branched out on rock and roll. I'll do some popular pop culture. I was showing my stuff at an art gallery down in Keyport, New Jersey, which is halfway down to the shore.
I saw you pop it up on the Instagram, yeah.
Yep, and I had some stuff over at a good friend of ours. What do you call it? Moose Comics, not Moose Comics. Come on, Ralph, help me. Sean's place in Whippany. Fat Moose Comics. I'm sorry, I blanked out.
There you go.
Fat Moose Comics.
I do all the time.
There. Right. So I branched out, and I'll do a little of this.
Oh, that's great, man.
Showtime.
Showtime. So, I mean, it's been pretty well received. It's my hobby. The thing that I find the best about going to these Comic-Cons is just meeting the people, whether they're writers, artists, pencilers, inkers, whatever they're into, because I just appreciate the activity. Like, just as an example, I've never met Frank before. When I found out he was going to be on the show today, I started reading up about him, and that's the kind of creativity that I'd like to talk to Frank about because I'm not a writer. So, I mean, I could pick his brain for 2 hours at the show and meet somebody, make a new friend, and I just find it incredibly rewarding to be surrounded by people that are creative. There's enough crap in the world right now where people are just talking about things that don't interest me, you know. And I'd rather talk about creativity. So just as an example, Frank does something that I don't do. Shadow Rabbit apparently does things that I don't do either. So meeting these people, talking to them, exchanging compliments, exchanging ideas, becoming, internet friends, it's very fulfilling. And I'm 67 years old. I mean, I'm meeting a bunch of younger people. It's the coolest thing in the world. So stop by, come see me at the show as long as we can bring our sleds, and I'd be happy to talk to you and show you the other 65 comic covers that I've done.
Bruce, you do some stuff. You do some killer work, man.
Thank you.
That's why like when I first met Ralph, it has to be close to 10 years almost, or just about 10 years that I know Ralph. But man, he always brings people on and tries to highlight them, and and it's great because you get to see people's work that you don't normally see, and he highlights that, and he's all over. Forget it. I always I said if I could draw, I would draw a Comic-Con and do like, where's Waldo, where's Ralph.
He certainly found me, that's for sure.
But he walks around and he takes the time to go find people, then get them on the show. Oh man, this is great, this is great, this is great. And he has a knack for that. And like there's a lot in the city, cons and stuff like that in Jersey that he tries to get to, and sometimes there's like 3 on the weekend, which I know he's like, oh man, this is a really tough thing to get to all 3 or whatever. But I mean, he always brings people that I don't know, right? Like I never met Bruce, and man, holy crap, like some of that stuff is just like, I'm just amazed on the talent. Even Shadow, when I first met him, then that was through Ralph. And I'm like, holy crap! Like there's so much creativity of people that are out there, and the world is. I mean, we're talking about the world, but like we're talking about the tri-state Long Island area and Jersey. There's so many talented people that are out there that you just don't see, right? Because they're not doing cons, or they're not highlighting their creativity, whether it's wood burning comics or indie comics or indie books or whatever they're making, right? And he finds them. He finds, but like it gives them, like it's great because it gives them the platform that a lot of them don't know how to obtain, right? And I think that's important for any type of artist or creator, shall I say, that's not Marvel or DC or what's the big comic book, oh man, Dark Horse, right? Or like those people that want to write and have that board, which they don't, and they have to crawl out of the cellar, to compete, and some of that stuff is just unbelievable, with so many talented people out there. It's just, I'm sorry, I just went on a tangent, didn't I?
Yeah. Oh, if you leave that one
It's
up
a
for a
nice
minute,
tangent,
Raph,
though.
real
I like
quick.
that.
That was I was asked to teach. I did a very small a
Wow.
Comic-Con in Carteret, New Jersey, at the Central Jersey Arts Council, and I had my pieces up, and they asked me to teach a lesson in wood burning, and 10 people showed up, and I was shocked. And now they're going to try to make it a regular thing, so I can
That's
get
awesome.
involved in a little teaching too, which would be pretty cool.
That's
Can
awesome.
I ask what you're using to burn the wood? Are you like heating up
Ooh.
a paint knife? Or are you using
Oh no,
something like
there's
the plug-in electric
yeah,
wood
it's
burner
it's
tool?
a
Okay.
regular it's a wood burner is nothing more than a rheostat, which is a dimmer switch, and you get to
Right.
control the heat that way, and then use different nibs to get different effects. You can use points or rounded ball shapes. They're shading. So that's the key. And the funny thing is, and I'll be the first to admit it, I can't draw. I can't draw, but I can
Unless it's
transfer
with
these.
fire and a knife.
Yeah, but I can transfer the image onto the wood, and then I've mastered the tool that I can put. I've mastered the tool to get the lines to do what I want, and then the coloring. It's in essence, it becomes coloring book, especially when you're copying a comic book cover. You're really just copying it. What you're looking at, there's a bar out here by me, and it's called Alternate Endings. And they did an art show, and I participated, and they wanted an alternate ending for movie, a book, TV show, anything. And I did 2 pieces. That was my contribution. Walter White's retirement party, which of course never happened. And then I guess if you go to the next slide, I did a thing about a fictitious Beatle concert. There it is. Because this is the 250th anniversary of our country, I figured the greatest concert to show that would be the Beatles. But since it's an alternate ending, Ringo isn't in the Beatles. Pete Best is in the Beatles. So, of course, here we have, John back from the dead and George back from the dead. But we figure if it's an alternate ending, what a better ending than that? And then the twist is Ringo's not a Beatle. Pete Best is. So those were my 2 pieces for an art show. Neither one won and neither one sold, but it was a lot of fun doing them.
I gotta say, I don't see
No.
why they didn't sell, because both of them,
are great.
really
Yeah.
good. Especially
It's
the
because
Beatles
people
one.
don't recognize greatness until
Exactly.
it's already past them sometimes, man. No, seriously, you're about. I have no doubt you're going to get a lot of commissions once people start seeing what you're doing. I mean,
I
these
get
are
them on occasion.
really good.
Again, because I'm a hobbyist. That was something I'm doing for another show. That was I made a comic book, a fake comic book for the House TV show. I'm doing something the same
I had a
bar as
family
having
with House. Okay.
Yeah. So of course he was stoked on Vicodin all the time, and so that is just him fighting his demons between being a doctor and being a complete asshole, which is what he was. But I made a comic book out of it, and that was just my interpretation of House as a villain.
Did you do the full comic, or that's just the cover page?
That's just the cover. It's just the covers. Yeah, I don't. Like I said, I can't
That'd be
draw.
pretty cool.
So, yeah.
That
Thank
was
you.
still pretty, like it's,
You are not proving your claim here, because
We've tried
these
to
look
tell
pretty
Bruce
good to
before.
me.
It's
I know grown men who can't color in the lines, and certainly not burn
I-
them and then color it.
listen,
Yeah.
I can't color in the lines, and I'm almost 50.
I finger paint.
Well, it's an interesting conversation. I don't know if you guys know Bud LaRosa. He's an inker. I know Raph knows him. He did Spider-Man back in the 70s and the 80s. He's done, I think, 4,000 pages in his career. So, but he's done Spider-Man, he's done Deadpool, he's done all kinds of stuff. He's worked with everybody. He's worked with Romita and everything else. And I got to meet him one of the cons a few years back, and he was sitting next to me. And obviously, he's an accomplished artist. And him and I got into an argument the first day I met him because he called me an artist. And I said, I don't consider myself an artist. I consider myself a craftsperson. And now Bud and I have been friends for 3 years. We talk a lot now, not just at the cons, on the phone. We text, blah, blah, blah. Nice. And he's finally beaten it into my head that I'm an artist. And I keep telling him, no, you're an artist. He says, you're an artist. And I finally decided to accept the compliment and keep my big mouth shut.
Well,
There you go.
yeah, but you are, but you're
Modest
wood burning.
artist at best.
You're. See, I tend to agree with him because you're, you might not be great at drawing, but
Mhm.
you're great at wood
Yeah,
burning. There's different definitions of artists, right?
that
You
is
know,
true.
Shadow does, clay figures. That's
Right.
art, right?
Of course.
I do art in different writings.
Of
Ralph does
course.
same thing. You do that. So there's definitions of art in so many different forms. It's spread out.
Right.
So I mean that I would not know that you not great at, like Shadow said. He's like, man, he's like, you wouldn't be able to tell, but like that piece is like the detail on it is just phenomenal.
Yeah.
You
Thank
know.
you. Yeah, I've learned. I've
Yeah.
learned to accept it. It took a while. Well,
If
in
that ain't
all
art,
honesty,
nothing is.
yeah. I mean, in all honesty, until I did the very first con, I guess 3 or 4 years ago, it was my hobby. And my daughter and my niece talked me into doing it. And they wanted me to go to New York. And I thought, well, let's crawl before I walk. And I did it. And I got compliments. And I sold a couple of pieces. And it shocked me because, obviously I'm not famous. I mean, Frank, I look at your career. I mean, you're not a Martin, you're not, Heinlein, you're not, but you're making a living selling your work. So
Oh
there
yeah.
is a market out there for people that aren't famous because people appreciate, quality and if it appeals to them,
Yep.
right? I mean, you're
It
making a
does.
living.
Well, I mean, I'm trying. I
See,
mean,
there's another humble one. Frank isn't trying; he's hustling, baby.
you know what? It
Frank
was,
hustles his ass off.
in all honesty, it was very difficult because, right? So I wrote the Dark Legend. Oh man,
It's
1996. I originally wrote it, right,
mhm.
and then I tried selling it after it edited and all that stuff, right? And I tried selling it to literary agencies, science fiction, fantasy, something different, great, and I must have got about 2,000 letters back that said no. But like I had my encouragement from my father, and he's like, hey, you got to find a way of doing it. So I did, and he goes, think about what you could do and stuff like that. So I didn't know anybody in the business, and then gradually I started. My first, I think my second or third con was when I met Ralph. Was it 17? That was 17. Yeah, that was 2017. It was only my third
Wow.
con when I met him. I did one in Jersey. I did two in Jersey, and then I did one in Pennsylvania. And I work for Coke currently, and then I had left for about 3 years, and then when I'm driving back, I said, "Oh man, this is gonna stink," and I knew it was gonna be a very very fun trip driving back, which took me about 7 hours to drive back from. Oh man, now I can't think of the town it was in. It was about five. It was only about 5 hours into Pennsylvania. Altoona, that's what it was. I knew it was on the tip of my tongue. So we're driving back, and an 18-wheeler was flipped over on I guess I-80 that is down there,
Sure.
and there was a water a trailer that had watermelons, and it was all it somehow the tractor trailer went across almost both lanes, like it
Oh,
striped. Yeah, so I'm like, oh man, this is gonna suck. you know, I'm like, but man, I had the opportunity to go to different cons, and um, Ralph and Lou had both. I mean, I met Lou through Ralph, and now I'm meeting Bruce through Ralph, and I meet a lot of people through Ralph, and other people that Lou might need. When I see Lou, he introduces me, and so's Ralph, and whatever. And then I get a lot of compliments because, like, oh yeah, it's like we see you on the writ, all the time with Ralph. I'm like, yeah, I said, but a lot of people, see it out there because, I do hustle. I got my family, right? I got my full time job, and then I try to do these cons, but in all
can I
honesty,
can I
it,
interrupt you and ask you a
yeah,
question? Because I'm fascinated by your story.
sure.
How many books do you have to sell for it to be worthwhile to continue? And I'm not trying to be nosy and like money.
No.
I'm saying, do you sell hundreds or thousands of copies
In a year?
of any of your I see you've got two different series going around. I mean, like I said, I did my research. I mean, when you sell these to complete strangers as an unknown author, is it successful when you sell 1,200 or 500 or 5,000? I'm not familiar with the industry.
When do you think it's a success, Frank? That's what he's asking.
Good. That's a better way of saying it.
Yeah, it is. So, in the course of, actually, I never had anybody ask me that, but like,
yeah, good question.
It is. I do well enough to pay for the tables, and if I have smaller ones, sometimes they take care of the table and the hotel, so I'm lucky enough to get some smaller ones to do that, so that saves the expense, right? But
yeah, I'm not talking about money. I don't want to be intruding or be nosy. I'm just saying I'm not familiar with the self-publishing industry, and you and I are on the same path. We're unknown people trying to get our art out there. You've made a lot of good inroads. You have success. You've got this beautiful cover art. You've got a beautiful artist working with you. You've been reviewed. You've been interviewed. So I'm saying, what is the metric of success? Is it in hundreds of books or thousands or?
Yeah, I'd say probably, man. Never really had it. Like I said, never really had anybody ask that, and I usually do look. But at the end of fiscal year, I'm probably selling close to about 4,000.
That's terrific.
Like just I haven't looked, so I'm just just what I know, what I sell. Like, I mean, MegaCon is like my biggest one. That MegaCon in Boston, and then sometimes the smaller ones are hit and misses, and I mix it up. Sometimes it'll be a little downer. On like last year was a down year because I did a lot of smaller ones, and that they didn't exactly pan out so much. But sometimes you got to take that risk, and
I'm curious. If someone sees my work, they see it, they like it, they buy it, or even probably, Shadow's work, because it's three-dimensional, you can hold it, you can see it. How hard is it to get a stranger to buy a book where they know nothing about Frank at all? They have no idea about your characters. They have no idea what's inside the book. And for them to drop X number of dollars, how difficult is that?
I got to tell you this. I'm going to interrupt Frank because
go ahead.
I've been there with Frank, and it's amazing to watch Frank talk to these people, and they leave with a book. And dude, this guy has a silver tongue. Frank just like draws them to the table, and then he lays out his books, and he sells. Dude, I'm telling you, that's Charlie Hustle down.
So what are you doing on Saturday? I'll give you 50% of what you can move in my stuff.
You know what? I will come out, but not during the snowstorm. I would love like I know they're doing one in June, I believe. Somewhere in
the next one is
August.
Wait, the summer one for Garden State is in June, right?
Yeah,
I thought it was August. I could be wrong.
I'll let you know right now. Keep talking.
Okay.
I think it's the end of June, like the 28th and 29th, something like that.
I paid for it, so I'll be there.
I want to do that because that's like right across the bridge from me, so it's not.
Well, if you're thinking about it, Frank, I'd recommend it because, like I said, it was really well run last year, first time in the facility, and they got over 9,000 people in the 2 days. It was packed.
Well, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the facility really sells it. I mean, Ralph was there. The facility was just over the top. It was great. Easy to get around, plenty of space.
For the summer is June 27 and June 28.
Yeah, I thought it was the end of June.
Okay.
I will come out and do that one. That's been on my list. I just have to either email them back.
See, you got somebody else to go down.
Dave owes me $8.
Yeah, you should tell Dave, look, I got people to go for you.
I sold the table tonight.
But I mean, it does look good because, like, I see when Ralph reports on it, and then I see.
Oh, we love Garden State Comic Fest.
Yeah, you've been going for years. You
Yeah,
know,
we've been going for almost as long as we've been around. I think we've been going for 8 years. Yeah, 8 years.
and you guys just
Compare,
celebrated your 10 years, so
yeah.
you
Yeah.
know, so
Ralph,
I mean,
compared to the other cons that you go, is it a professionally run, well organized, well attended show compared
Yeah,
to the others that you go to?
I gotta say, Dave and when his partner was there, they did a great job with this. It's always amazing to see what they're planning, what they're doing. They take risks because I know they did the whole Atlantic City one. It didn't work out the way they wanted to, but
No.
they take the risks, And I feel like that's important as a showrunner that you need to keep trying to boost
improve.
yourself up to move forward. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. I mean, like I did Monster Mania in Atlantic City, and I tried it out, and I'm like, but I did meet some great people. That I
Mhm.
didn't meet some great people there. So if I might not do well, with selling books, but it doesn't mean that those interactions are pointless. You
Oh,
you know
I
what I
agree with
mean?
you
You,
100%. I think
you,
it's cool. I think it's cool as hell meeting great people. I mean, my social network has expanded a lot. And, it's just very fulfilling to meet other people who are out there trying to create. I think it's a cool thing. You can't have enough creative people in your life.
I agree.
No, I mean, to create, like like me and Ralph could, shoot over everything, but like to kind of, you know, just I used to like how I came up with the Dark Legend was just basically, I used to work in hotels and I came home from like a really rough day like so many years ago, and I'm like, I watched Eight Heads in a Duffel Bag, and I'm like, hey, this movie was terrible, and then I came up with, I'm like, oh, let me write something, and that's where the Dark Legend basically started from. It's I mean, sometimes I look back and just give kicks and giggles, and I have it. I handwrote it at first, and then I'm like reading it. I'm like, man, this is terrible. you know.
Well, I think that, well, that's the thing though, and back to like how you to quantify success is this is something that you're passionate about before you were
Yeah,
concerned about making money off it. I can see Bruce
Yeah,
that your work as well comes from that place. That's
it comes from the
I mean,
heart.
obviously you can't be seething money doing a hobby, but I think if you somehow manage to find something that makes you happy,
yeah.
other people accepting and willing to spend their money on it, that
See,
especially when it's something so expressive.
I always approach these shows that the money is the gravy. Like I said before, I don't know if you guys heard me, but
Yeah.
I get to go to the show for 2 days and I get,
Yeah,
complete
nice.
strangers walking up and giving me compliments for 2 days. The money is gravy. I just find it, I mean, I don't know how you guys feel, but when you know that a
I hear you.
stranger has
We
something
are
you made
we are
in their
susceptible
home.
to compliments.
Yeah.
I am susceptible to flattery, sir. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's.
Battery will get you everywhere.
Yeah,
I hear you,
Absolutely.
man.
but it's true
Most,
because
I mean, most of our friends we've met through these shows at this point. Frank,
Yeah.
Right.
Raph. I mean,
But there's
but it's a
also
hundred.
something I'm sorry. There's
No,
something
go.
incredibly cool about knowing that you made something out of nothing and it's in some stranger's house and they dig it. That's really an honor. You don't think about it that way, but it really is. Somebody's got my piece hanging in their house, or they've got
absolutely.
your book on their nightstand, or Shadow's figurine on their mantle, and you don't know these people from Adam. It's like, oh shit, man, that's in someone's house, and they gave me money. That's just you can't feel better about yourself than that. That's
Absolutely.
cool.
Yeah, really is. But like hearing, and I had customers who came back and like I'm like, hey, didn't I meet you in like Orlando? And I'll see them in like Boston or Dallas or when I've done those. But like, and then you wonder, it's like, I'm
Recognize them.
like, and yeah, and then people came up. He's like, I saw you posting. He's like, I knew you were going to be here. He goes, I had this one guy that was in Dallas. He bought the first two Dark Legends, and last year he came and he was in Orlando,
Wow.
and then yeah, he lived in Dallas, and I'm like, so and he's like, I came to the show, because it's like, hey, I had business that I was going to be in Orlando for, and he's like, I wanted to stop by and get the third Dark Legend. So like when I have people post for my show and then I do it myself, right? Then I'm hitting people that follow me because I mean I don't see, like the names on on the Instagrams where I do most of the posting. Like I don't, it's like I don't see, well, I see a lot of these people unless some people actually stand out, like my close network friends, but people, and unless they make comments, I'm like, man, I don't remember who these people are. And sometimes I'll get messages. Sometimes I have more connections to other people that I've met over time at cons that became fans. But sometimes it's like hard to remember. You're dealing with, how many cons I'm doing. I'm doing
Hundreds of
anywhere
people. I
between
mean,
13 and 15, cons a year. And then, okay, I might be in Orlando or Dallas or Boston or Philly or I may be in Jersey a few times or Rhode Island or, wherever, right?
you make it out to Texas yet?
Yeah, I went out to Texas for Fan Expo. That's where I was. Fan Expo Dallas. I did
I
really
forgot you made it
well.
out to Texas already. Yeah.
Yeah, I went out to Chicago too. I did okay there. Nothing to complain about, but like is my top cons are a lot of them are the fan expos. So the fan expos really helped me grow. When I first did Orlando, I think I had like 8,000 followers. That blew my Instagram up like forget it. I think I wound up getting like 50,000 or 60,000 followers. I think I have like 68 or 69,000 followers right now on
Woo.
Instagram. That one con just did it, you know and along the way, I guess gradually, others kind of helped along the way. But, my bigger ones were, Orlando, which, I think this is like the third or fourth year I'm doing that. Um, Boston Fan Expo has helped. Dallas had definitely helped, when I did Terrificon, but they seem to be those two, Boston and Terrificon, same weekend. And they've been competing against each other. And that's where you start falling into, you
Dude, I hate
know,
when they do
uh,
that, man.
I
It's
do,
such a
I
bummer.
do, but they try to take away one. They tries to take away from another. It's like Boston's been the same weekend for so long, and then Mitch tries to overtake other people. That it's their business, right? They're trying. It's just like Pepsi and Coke, right? I work for Coke. You want to get all the customers away from Pepsi and have them buy, and vice versa. So it's a business. At the end of the day, we know there's you know you know, there's no rules in business, right? But you think there would be, you try to keep it on a separate weekend or whatever. But at the end of the day, they're trying to take monies away from those cons so they'll spend their money with their vendors. I get
Th-
it,
th-
Yeah.
There aren't
you
enough
know.
weekends in a year for all the cons. That's the
No,
problem.
I agree.
I agree. I think certain. I mean, Ralph's covering like a lot of them in the
Oh my
tri-state
God.
area. you
Yeah.
know and then like there were some points where he's like Frank, he goes, he's like, we were covering 3 or 4 cons. I'm like, man, there's only three. It's only Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And then like he runs around sometimes, like I'll shoot him a text or send it on Messenger, and I'm like, and he's like, yeah. And then he's like, oh, going this, going this, going this. I'm like, oh my God, it's crazy. But I mean, New York has a lot, Brooklyn has a lot, Queens,
Well, the
Jersey.
tri-state area is just so incredibly densely populated that in an
Well, yeah.
area of 100 square miles, you probably have 20 million people. I mean, you don't have to leave the tri-state area if you
No,
really
you
don't
don't.
want to.
You don't. But what really surprises me, like, you got like Long Island, right? And not to compare the boroughs and everything, but like, or even Jersey, right? Because to me that's all tri-state area, right? It's very easily
Correct.
accessed, car or train, right? But like Long Island, which I know Ralph has made out to a few times, like you think they would have more cons out here, which they don't. They used to. Now
Yeah, they
there's
used to
only a
have a
handful.
couple. COVID kind of took that all out, man. The
Yeah.
border.
I
Yeah.
100% agree. You know, but like there's only like Lou, like seriously, like what would you say?
There's not
There's
too
like
many.
five,
There's
maybe
Cradle
5 a year.
Con, Eternal Con, uh, Big
Uh,
Apple. Is that Long
did
Island?
they're doing the Long Island Horror one, which is I think it's in the
Long Island
second year.
Horror.
Yeah,
And
which
then
I'm doing.
there's smaller shows, there's Route 110, there's Hot
Right.
Flips, there's
They do have a lot of
there's other
small
good
shows.
stuff.
Hmm.
Yeah, but like there's
But
not
yeah,
like big
what's it
ones.
called? What's the Hawaii themed one?
Oh, Tropicon.
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 Tropicon. I like that one too. Yeah. Oh, and well, they're doing a lot of like trading card shows and stuff now.
Yeah.
Like that
Yeah.
one got really
And
big.
even the trading card guys have started their own Extravacon.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, I forgot about that one.
Yeah.
And then there
I
was
mean,
one on
there is still stuff. There's smaller ones, but there hasn't been like I haven't felt like the type of buzz like it was before, like in 2018.
COVID. Yeah,
It felt
there was
like
one.
felt like every month there was like a big show.
Yeah.
There was one. There's two. There's another. I think we might be up to like 6 or 7 because of counting the
Yeah, I'm
card
sure I'm
shows.
forgetting a few.
There was one. I think there was
Yes.
one out by you. I forgot what
Indie
it was.
Art Show in February. That one too. That's great.
Oh, the Indie Art Show. Yeah, exactly. Where Frank is going to be.
Yeah. Well,
Frank's
What's
going to be
that
there.
like?
February. The second week of February.
The 1st or the 7th. I can't tell from the
it's the
flyer.
7th because I think Super Bowl is the 8th. It's the day before. So
Yeah,
Okay,
Super
alright.
Bowl is the 8th. Yes.
So it's
Yep,
the
there it
7th.
goes.
So
2/7/2026.
See you there, man. I'll
Dude,
buy
this is
you
a
a
great
pizza and
place,
some beer.
folks. It's a brewery. So, they got great food, they got great drinks, they got a lot of great stuff, and you got a con at the
Great
same time.
artists. Yeah.
Yeah, which I like what he does because it just basically focuses on indie art, So, indie art is, you could define that in so many ways, like we've already been discussed, right? You know, um,
It's
Absolutely.
us, baby.
So instead of having, just bigger time, you have the indies because they're important as well as the bigger ones. Sometimes we want to get to that level. Sometimes it's harder to get because, you don't have the help that, people need. And, you get some help along the way, but, that always makes it quite difficult. Connections always help too along the way, but, it's building brands.
We're building our own web here, man.
Well,
Yeah.
I've proposed this. I've proposed this before, but I'll propose it again tonight. All those in favor of RafiCon, raise their hands.
Ralphie
Me.
Con.
Yeah.
It happened.
Hey, if I do a Ralphie Con, it'll go all about all the Ralphs.
Yeah,
What
but I
about
mean,
Wreck-It Ralph?
Ninja
I
Turtles.
have to
maybe
invite
some
Wreck-It
Christmas
Ralph.
Story. It'd be
Like that, right?
the hardest part for you would be
Sounds good to
finding an
me.
appropriate venue.
it'd be honeymooners. It'd be all the Ralphs, man.
Think of the T-shirt possibilities.
Ralph Mouth.
Yeah, Ralph Macchio.
Oh yeah. There's too many Ralphs. See, now you got me thinking. Just make a Ralph Con.
I like it.
I mean, weirder things than that have hit,
Yeah.
That is true. I've heard of a Tom Con and there was another name I forgot.
Tom Con?
Yeah, it was a lot of
Where
times
was-
to get together and they hang out.
That's awful. That's awful.
Good dad.
Well, first we
good
got to
dad
get you a
jokes. That's what
trading.
we're all on here for. Good dad
Yeah.
jokes.
Yeah. First we got to get you your own trading card, and then maybe a figurine, and then a comic. You can build on it. Lord knows you can promote it.
I've been building on
Speaking
my
of comic,
and I'm gonna
speaking
say,
about that.
There you
because,
go.
I got a Shadow Rabbit exclusive for my Hugbert superhero teddy bear for the comic book that I've been working on for years now.
Well, if you do the comic, I'm sure Frank will write it. I'll wood burn it for you. I think we're halfway home already.
Oh, yeah, dude, that's you got another option there, man. Woodburn comic.
I should wood burn the whole comic.
Yeah.
Now all
cool.
we would need is a good editor. That's all we need.
If you would burn the whole comic, it would like Floyd Flintstone reading the newspaper with the big pieces of rock when he was
That's
reading
exactly
the
the thought
newspaper.
I had in my head.
That'd
I mean,
be amazing.
imagine somebody's like, dude, man.
It's a great book, but it weighs 70 pounds.
Exactly.
Old Testament stuff there. I like it.
Oh man.
You
Why
see,
don't people write on slabs no more?
that's it.
I
Cuneiform.
see. Now I want to see you, Bruce, do a whole comic because I want to see that Fred. I want to see that Flintstone whole thing because I used to love when they would read books and they'd be
Yeah.
like,
They put it down, and then you see the impact from when they put it down on the
exactly.
Right. The
table.
imprint. Right. You see what happens when creative people get together? All kinds of wacky shit.
Oh
Best,
my
man.
God! Of course it does, folks. That's right. You got to go check it out. And of course, I want to remind you guys that our friend Bruce will be at Winterfest this weekend, hanging out as long as weather permits. And you can go check out all the beautiful woodwork that he does because he does amazing woodwork. I got to say that I really like this little bit you did here with the comic strip.
That was one of the first ones I ever did. And it was just so appropriate because it talks about Lucy using her wood burning kit. You have to read it. Take the moment to read it. Not now necessarily, but that's where I did it.
And that's so cool. I like that. That's a good way to start. That's a good origin story.
It is. It is. When I saw that, I said, I got to try that. And then I copied it.
I love the fact that it looks just like the newspaper.
It does. It really does.
Yeah.
I didn't have.
Again, we go back to the whole Fred Flintstone thing because now you got the newspaper.
Yeah. I actually thought about doing an entire newspaper once, but the lettering would just be intense because when you're doing wood burning, like anything else, the three things that are the hardest to do are letters, numbers, and eyes. Because if your eyes are wrong in the drawing or even probably in modeling, if the eyes are off, the whole thing looks like crap. And letters and numbers, everybody can see them and recognize them. So if you do a bad job, it's hard. That's why people get paid to letter comic books because it's hard to do. So
it's an art, yeah. I've met some great letterers, and the thing they say, and it's so true, is the best way to see if somebody does a good job lettering is to not see it. If you can't see it, they did a great job doing their job.
Right. Mm-hmm. Which is why guys that do comic strips day after day after day, those guys are brilliant because not only do they letter it, but they're also imparting sometimes emotion and feeling in the way the letters are drawn. Like Kapow for Batman in 1966 was revolutionary, but that came from comic books. But when you look at what things that Charles Schultz did or things that Calvin and Hobbes did or any of those great comic books, Berkeley Berthad, with Bloom County, the lettering also contributed to the atmosphere of the comic, of the joke, of the sentiment. It was amazing.
It was. I love comic strips. I love doing it. That's why I love A Kid in a Comic, which is a whole newspaper of all these beautiful comic strips from people creating today, folks. That's why you should go check out A Kid in a Comic.
Is that the one that JM writes for? Is that the one JM writes for?
Keith Williams is in it. Keith Williams does his own thing on it. And all our friends are in it. Yeah.
Right.
Bruce knows.
It's a very cool publication. It really is. It's very old-timey, which is nice.
It reminds me of Sunday mornings, man.
Absolutely. Well, and what's terrifying is that there are people that have never seen a Sunday comic because they're too damn young.
Yeah.
Well, that's true.
I miss the Sunday morning comics.
Everybody does.
Yeah.
I used to get Newsday. My parents used to get Newsday, and sometimes the Post or whatever. But like, I would always, as a kid, my dad always got the Newsday. So like Sunday, I would always go to open it up. Then and part two of the newspaper was always the movies and comics and stuff. I was always going to that and then pulling it up and then reading, Archie or whomever. Right? You just go down the line and you just like sit there as a kid. Like you guys are right, but this generation's everything is online, everything is this, and it kind of takes away from being a child. Like the electronics fast forward, and then AI, and we could have conversations about that, but
for hours.
But like it's good thing. And again, when you see video, like sometimes I can't even defer, like some of the videos that are being made that are just for comic relief or whatever. But sometimes they're putting people in there that, and they're putting in there that doesn't have. So it's like a double standard on certain
It
things, right?
is. It is.
Chat BBT kind of helps organize your thoughts process, or hey, makes you go through grammar. Okay, that's good, but then where is the point where it's making random art just and making a
Yeah.
book or making a
Well,
movie?
it's funny you should say that because I suggested to Ralph because we had when I was on once before we talked about people that were doing digital art
Yeah.
versus 3-dimensional art with your hands.
Right.
And I would never say that digital art is not art, and I would never say these people aren't talented. But in my personal opinion, because I'm 67 years old, I think there's something lost in it. It doesn't mean that they're not good. It doesn't mean it's not worthwhile. It's just I question what's going to happen in 50 years. Like you said, they're going to make movies without real people. They're going to write books without people and people that can use their hands and do things with their hands. It's going to be. I'm afraid it might be lost. I don't know. And Ralph, we had this conversation on one of your shows with other people, and I don't know that real life working with your hand will survive in 50 years only because I don't know if there will be a value associated with it, and not even a monetary value, just an appreciation. Like you guys, I've never met you before, and you said, wow, look at what he did, and you imagine how much work I put into it.
Yep.
But if that appreciation disappears because you say, well, you could do that you can do what I do with a laser printer. You can print these with lasers. It'll look even better. But that's not the same. You can write a book and just use Chat GPT. It's not the same. Frank struggled with it. He thought about it. He lost sleep over it. He got drunk over it. The question is, will that effort be appreciated in 50 years? That's a whole show unto itself.
It completely is, and I know we've discussed it in a couple of our shows, but I always think the same thing. We have always loved art. We have always loved to own art. We have always loved to, and it's different if somebody printed something out for you than it is if you're holding a piece of art that somebody created.
Yes, but you have that appreciation.
That piece of art, yeah.
Right, but you have that appreciation. What about someone who's 15, holding a digital piece of art that was made on the computer with a stylus? But they may have an appreciation for that because they don't know any better in 50 years.
But that people with the younger kids, where they will see the art, the prints, the copies, the actual art. And they seem to have an appreciation for it. They understand that that there's a digital aspect to it, but I think it's the whole owning or collecting that happens out there, because people want that art. They want, especially an original piece, because you can have a digital piece, but you can't do nothing with it. You can maybe print it out, but it's not the same.
Right. Well, people also like one of a kinds.
Yeah,
right.
I agree.
I agree.
That's why they keep trying to steal them.
But also, I believe like a lot of the cons, like that you do, like don't have AI art, so they're trying to protect the artists.
I hope so.
And no, they are, because I know San Diego just voted that down, and I think there was a big
some of the cons are making sure that anybody that AI art is not in their thing.
Right.
That's great.
Which is great because if I know they sent out like newsletters, because I'm on newsletters with San Diego and stuff like that, and they said that if you are caught with any AI, whether it was digital work or if it was a book cover or what any type of art, you will be banned for life. And
wow.
That's what I've been doing. Yeah.
But
that
like
doesn't
a lot
seem
of
a little
cons,
extreme as well, though. I mean, I don't know. I don't like any prohibitions. New technology comes along and it does scare people, and I'm pretty worried about it in a lot of ways. But I mean, that's what makes art is it's an expression of you, of your soul, of
but it's
something
the
that
original
can't be
art.
stolen. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Well, I mean, people who are just putting something into AI and saying like, make me Studio Ghibli and then claiming it's theirs. I mean, yeah, it's bullshit,
right.
but it's
I
only
agree.
bullshit if they're making money on it, though. If they're just doing it for themselves, I mean,
Right.
who
But he,
cares? I mean,
but
Right.
but here's
Yeah.
on the
but if you're going in there claiming, yeah, I'm Picasso, and you're just popping it into some kind of AI program, yeah, that's ridiculous. But
see, but
you know,
I had right, like
but it's a tool. It's here. I mean, anyone who's
Absolutely.
you don't get to fight the tides like that. I mean,
I think my
people
only
were
problem
afraid of
with AI
ballpoint pen
is
at
usually
some
the same
point,
thing, and the problem is as long as it's not stealing from somebody else, you
Yeah,
know,
but it's a slippery slope, especially
it
where we
is.
work. I
But
mean, I
what I'm
didn't
saying
invent
is you
Batman, and
created
boy, do I
this
like
thing.
Batman.
Yeah, it's like you created this thing, and you can tell that some of the art is coming from certain artists, and you're sitting there going, "This is my art." I'm like, "Yeah, okay,
Well, Lou, I got a question for you. Okay,
go
so
for it."
Yes,
you
sir.
make figurines out of your bare hands. What about the guys
Yes, sir.
that 3D print them? You know, I mean, you can 3D
I don't like
print it,
3D printing.
You could pop it in. Absolutely, you could print it
right?
out.
Yes, I don't
I
like
actually
3D
bought a
printing.
3D printer to see what they were all about. They're pretty cool. I don't have time to learn how to use it. I hate computers, but
Right. Right.
yeah, I
But I'm
don't know.
saying
I
that's the
mean,
equivalent. That's the equivalent of what you do. Is you do it
sure.
with your hands, and you could 3D print a figurine probably in a 30th of the time or 100th of the time it takes you. So
Maybe.
I'm not passing a value judgment. I'm just saying that my concern is what's going to world going to be like in 50 years when we're all dead. That's my concern. Where there still be the appreciation for this skill of handiwork as opposed to
Yeah,
we're all going
I
to be
think, yeah,
machines.
I think handmade stuff has lasted,
A long
100
time, yeah.
generations of people,
Yeah, but
and it'll
you can't
outlast
use that as a
people.
metric because there was no alternative.
Oh, there was.
Sure, there
There's been
was. I
counterfeit
mean,
art
they
forever. You
Right,
Yeah,
know,
but
but they had
yeah,
the big old printing press was scary as anything when it came
it
out
was.
too. I
that's
mean,
true.
Yeah.
I
That's
just mean,
true.
look,
I see.
yeah,
I have,
there's a lot to be said about that. The AI stuff, the 3D printing, all this.
but
I
at the
hope
end,
that
I still think I have faith. I know this is going to be bad the way I've worded it, but I gonna have more faith in humanity than probably because it's been around, and I think there are more people that want to create something that's theirs, that's something
yeah.
that they feel good about creating something. Like I know there are going to be people that will take the easy way out, right? But I think there's going to be more people that are going to want to create their own art instead of trying to have AI make it for them. You know what I mean? So
Well,
I
and
I
that's
think
the
agree
thing
with
of like
you.
the AI where they're like, let's say you didn't like one of the last Star Wars movies that came out, right? What's to
okay.
stop someone from putting in their own script into the AI machine, and it pops out a better story, and then they can put it into the AI image software, and you got Luke and Han back in it, and they don't die unceremoniously. I mean, what's to stop someone from making that for themselves and enjoying it? I mean, if they
Absolutely.
try to sell it,
There's
I'm sure a dark tide of litigation will come to them. But I mean,
Right.
that's what art is you getting to tell your own story to
Absolutely.
yourself and to your
That is
friends and
true.
have fun with it.
Yeah.
And if anyone
Right.
but I
tries to take
think
that away from you, I have a problem with it.
Oh,
I
Honestly.
I
I
agree
agree.
with you. I agree with you 100%. I'm just concerned about the appreciation for handiwork. That's all. That was my concern. I would never try to limit anybody. This is America.
Right.
I don't care what's going on in the world. It's America. You can do whatever you want.
But isn't it
It's art
wasn't
to me,
there
damn it.
That's it.
like
But
guys, wasn't there like a something with the was it America's Guild, right? Wasn't that America's Guild? That they
the
basically
Actors Guild went crazy
the
about it.
Actors Guild. Yeah,
Yeah.
but wasn't there
And
something?
rightfully so. They should be scared.
I think there was something that they put in that those contracts with because obviously movies are art, just like
Of course.
drawing and writing, different forms, music, whatever. I think there was something in each sort of industry, if I remember correctly. So I'm almost 50, so I'm old. I don't remember anything. I don't even know who you guys are anymore. Who are you? You pop in my dream, But like in all seriousness, I really think there was something that was put in those
Union. I
comics
think it was in the
that
union contract. I think you're right. It was
think
the
there
union
was,
contract.
Yeah,
because I
yeah.
think that was a big part of the negotiations was with
They
that
tried
kind
to
of
steal
stuff.
their likenesses so
Yeah.
that they could, so they wouldn't have to hire,
Right.
See,
background
that's where my
actors
issue
and stuff
comes in,
like that.
is when they start
That's
doing
that's messed up.
shady
Yeah,
stuff
I
like
agree.
that. Yeah.
But that's all
See,
shady stuff. That's all
Yeah.
business. Art, if you're starting your art career off with how much money you're going to get, I mean,
The
and really
losing
make it harder.
proposition.
Yeah, look, just go to work, man. It's a much more lucrative option than
Right.
selling paintings and drawings and sculptures and books. But if you're
Absolutely
making
true.
art, then what's the
see,
value of it? You got one person who wants to read your book and you give it to them for free. Is that still did Was that value, was your return on investment met? I mean, I don't know. That which can be bought with gold isn't worth buying at all.
mm,
Yeah, we suck at comics, folks.
Sorry. Philosophical and shit. But I don't know, man. Yeah, I'm worried about it, but eh, who
You
cares in
can't
100
stop it.
years? Maybe people just have brain cubes or whatever, or probably
Yeah.
sticks and stones and be hunting over squirrels. But one way or
Well,
another, I think handmade things will still be appreciated,
I
I
agree.
do
even
too.
if it's
That's
just
why I
Yeah.
said,
pointy stick with rock.
Hmm.
yeah, but that's kind of why I said I have faith in humanity when it comes
Yeah.
to kind of stuff like that, because I think it's just like the hard work and dedication might go a longer way for somebody to feel good about, like,
Sure.
hey man, I created something that's completely different and not something that's Marvel or DC or whatever. And I just kind of believe in that. There are more people that feel that way. But I mean, again,
Time will tell.
Yeah. Time will
Well,
tell.
there's such a community. I mean, even of the artists and writers and creatives and stuff.
yeah,
It's a small community, but it's not that small. I mean, it's
It's not that small if
hundreds
it's
and hundreds of people.
and thousands of people go to the cons to meet people like us.
Yeah.
Yeah, how
See,
crazy is
yeah,
that
that?
also where my hope, my like Frank is saying, that's where my thing comes in, is because people still go to these conventions. They want to meet their favorite writers. They want to meet their favorite artists. They want to own a piece of that, and
Most
and,
people
and
are
they'll
really
go out
cool
there
too.
and do that.
Most
when
people are
when
really cool on both sides of the aisle.
Hmm.
yeah, when I do the cons, I mean, you guys see, I mean, obviously Bruce just knowing, but like when I go to a con, Bruce, anything I always and Ralph always does it, and Lou always like posts, hey, Frank's gonna be here, check him out or whatever, and I always appreciate that love. And I always take pictures, hey, because it highlights them. And then when they're at the con, I could post it, that night or whatever. Or, Ralph will do like a video of like different people that bought the books and everything. And,
Sure.
and like that's a way of them getting highlight. Oh, thank you. Oh, look at this person. He went and bought, oh, he came home away with 2 Dark Legend books or 3 or whatever, And people always ask me, like, not a lot, but they always ask. He's like, "Hey, is the series over?" And I go, "That's far from over." He goes, "Over in Dark Legend in my vocabulary will never happen." But, like we were just talking about AI, right? So I'm going to use it as a positive in a light for different type of, not art completely. So I talked to Lou about this. Said I had a marketer that basically did an insane post just marketing my book, and she translated some piece that was phenomenal. That, well, I'm like, man, this would be really good for a freaking story. So what story do you think I'm working on in about a week? That same cover that inspired me to kind of like do a horror, like the Dark Legend is more fantasy science fiction, but kind of like inspired me to kind of like, hey, I was never planning on doing a horror, with the master and that whole thing, but seeing something that was just used for marketing purposes was like, damn. I'm like, that's a great idea. But
Yeah, you can get inspiration from anywheres, man. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, so
like
like,
that's
obviously I want to use the cover, but obviously I'm going to get someone to draw it, what I like, because I'm not going and be like, hey, I want this for the cover, and going like, hey, let me take this and we'll turn this into a cover. No, someone's going to do it, and they're going to hand draw it, and they're going to do it the right way.
Sure.
You can market
yeah.
it, use the marketing piece, but at the end of the day, you want to have some original art. You want to own that art. You want to use it for your covers. You want to do whatever, but you want to do it the right way.
Yeah,
Not
yours are great. Your stuff
you know,
looks terrific.
you know, you know. I
Yeah.
guess Ralph, you know the piece I'm talking about, right? That dark, it was like purplish, and he was like the master was holding like a sword that was just glowing.
Yeah.
That was the piece that really inspired me because I saw that piece. And I'm like, she just posed for like some horror con or something. I don't even know what I was doing. And I'm like, what the hell is this? And I'm like looking, I'm like, this is awesome, you know? But like, like seeing something like that kind of like really inspired me. And I'm like, man, like with the Dark Legend, I was never thinking about writing something horror ever. And now I am.
Yeah.
But it's funny because your stuff lends itself into
into
horror.
that into
Yeah.
that genre. Yeah, it does. But which is like my wife, when I was talking to her about it, she's like, you could go really really dark with this. She's like, not that your stories aren't dark enough. She's like, but you could go. It's like if you going your stories are fantasy science fiction, but they kind of breach to the way he looks and demons and and different types of gods and stuff like that. But now going into now I'm attracting people that are gonna want that Pacific Dracula and stuff like that. Right before the show I was writing notes. I'm like, man, I want to start writing it like after the show. you know but I'm
You've
like,
been on a roll though because you just finished your fifth book. Just like this week, and here you're already thinking about doing another book.
well, this thought, once I saw that picture, like I had that like on my mind for the last 6 months, but for the last 2.5 years, I've been writing book 4 and book 5. So, and then I see this post sometime this year about that picture. I'm like, oh man, here we go. All right, and like book 4, book 5, and book 6 are all connected, in an odd way, but like, book 4 and book 5 were just like together. They were one story but two books because they were just going to be way too long. I mean, the book I just finished writing was, I think, what I say, it was about 110,
Yeah.
110,100 or something like that. You know, yeah, I know. And then I think the other one was about 85 or 90. I mean, you're looking right there, it would be a 200,000 word book. So, to me, I don't like having anything more than 300 pages or about that, only because I look at my life, and I know there's four of us on the show, and we all probably have chaotic lives that we, between working kids and stuff like that, right? Or whatever. So I always like to write books that are very easy to read, and they're not long. And the two things that I get at cons, your book was easy to read, and it's not that long. Where and it was always meant to be that way, because I know, like I work for Coca-Cola. That's a tough company to work for, but because they're so demanding because they've been around for 140 years. I only learned that, I had a rally that we had gone to in Jersey, and it was their 100th and 40th anniversary this year, which I didn't realize that, but um, but again, people have things in their lives, their mothers, their fathers, grandkids, kids, wives, whatever's going on, cons, right? Just running around to sporting events to whatever. So you could go so many different ways, but I always want something to be obtainable. I had this one guy in Orlando came to me about an idea for a book. I'm like, all right. He goes, oh, the book is edited, but it's 250,000 words. Okay. I don't know how many pages that is. It was getting edited. It was paying a crap load to get it edited. So I go, all right. I'm like, my opinion, not anybody else's, but I'm like, you might want to shorten that, or break it up into multiple books. Maybe the ideas are really strong and it's very, but I'm like, to me, if I see a book that is that thick, there is no way I am going near that book and touching that, you know, because you're looking at Robbie an 800-page book or something like that. I don't know, but with like I know in my personal life, I know I wouldn't be able to pick up a book that's that long and read it and be, you know, maybe the idea is great. Was not knocking the guy for the idea, was knocking on him how long, because most average books are about 300 plus pages. Now he has a 200,000 word manuscript that could be 600, 700 pages. That's just my opinion. What do I know?
I don't know, man. Like, I'm always impressed by anybody who can write as much as all those words that you're talking about, because um, I sit there and I'll write it short and go, I'm done. And every once in a while I consider going, hey, let's make this story longer, and I'm like, I don't feel like writing all that.
You know what it is? Like, people have come up to me and asked me about you know multiple different people that might be working a con. Like, I've had multiple people that work at Boston Fan Expo or MegaCon or what other ones do I have I done? Those are consistent ones, but just other cons in general, and then meeting inspiring writers, and they always say the same thing. He goes, and I can't give him a definite answer. Just like Ralph, me and Ralph are two different writers. We write different
Yep.
stuff, right?
Yeah.
But we have two different processes, right?
Exactly.
So I I'm a big rock guy. I like all types of music. So, like, I'm very in tuned with my stories, and like, I might not thinking about an idea. I see that. I went to Gettysburg, and I'm like, oh man, I could use this at the end. Like, wasn't even thinking about it, and then like the little things just happen to pop into my head, right? So when people ask me, it's like, how do you come up with these great ideas and these fantastic storylines? I'm like, and I give them the truthful answer. It comes to me very naturally. Not a lot of people that works for. Maybe some great writers that doesn't come for. Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. I don't know. And I said everybody's process is different, right? So, we think of characters, we think of traits, like there's a lot of reviews that I get on Amazon. Now you look at my character and you think he's this badass SOB, right? Like Stone Cold Steve Austin, right? Got to use the Stone Cold, reference. But you know, but you look at him and he's like, man, he looks like a badass guy that you wouldn't want to really mess with. And the people that have, like, the last few months have reviewed the Dark Legend, they're putting that there's a lot of human traits that I make the master have, right? But by looking at the cover, you would not think that I give him human traits. He has feelings. He has it. Now you just think he's this bad samurai that's just like, man, I don't want to mess with that guy. Whatever he's going, if he's walking one way, I'm going the opposite way, you know. But the fact that I give him the traits of a human being, to have those feelings, to have those, like those traits, and I think you humanize him. I humanize the character, and that is
Well,
something That's what you want to do. You want to have some type of relation with your audience that draws them in, that somehow, we all have family issues, right? Okay. So he has family issues too. He has, he has problems. He's got to save the world, from demons. I don't think we have those type of problems. Maybe, you know, uh,
We
real
don't want to
demons.
talk about that now, do we?
No, that's why I said real. That's why I say real demons. But other people have other personal demons that they trying to work out and trying to figure out, right? Whether it's for family themselves or whatever. So there's very relatable things that I try to put in it, because I try to make him, like, even though he looks the way he does, and that's why I said maybe take, like, listen to music or something. That's how I mean. Like, I could just be walking and seeing a stop sign. I like that name. Oh, okay. Where the heck did that name come from? I was in the shower and came up with a character name for my next story. Very odd place.
And Frank, I have to say, one of the problems with people when it comes to writing and when it comes to creating, is that they overthink it.
I think they do too.
They sit there and then they overthink the writing, they
I
overthink
do.
the drawing, they overthink
Yeah.
the art, they overthink, and instead of just like doing it, and seeing where it goes and seeing what happens, because they have to figure this out before they do it, and that's how they have to do it. And we all know that you don't know what's happening until you do it, and you don't know what to fix until you do it. You don't know how to change it until you do it. So it has to be done
You know,
first.
you're right. Like I always, like how I always write. I try to write notes, right? Like, if I, so this is weird. I always have to come up. Don't have the plot. Always have to think of the title first. This is how I've done it forever. You know, since I started writing, I always come up with the title. Then I come up with the characters. Then I come up with the plot, which I would think of the plot, the story name, and then a little opposite, right? But then I go with, like, the story, and come up with the characters, and that part is always last, which you think would be first, but
There's no wrong answer
wrong
to
read.
the creative
Exactly.
process.
Right.
Mhm.
100%. But when people question, it's like, when you come up with that, I'm like, I can't. I said, I have to have the title. So the title is always foremost, the number one thing. The Dark Legend, right? The Dark Legend of
And
Foreign.
Frank's
Okay.
right. Like I'm total opposite. I don't care about the
See, I go with
I,
the
I,
title.
I start with scenes that pop into my head, and I have to write those scenes. And sometimes they work together, and sometimes they don't.
But again, like, when I told you guys that I finished in book 5, I had 4 or 5 different endings written down on paper, and guess which one I used? None of them.
None of them.
You
That's
know,
how it works out, folks.
uh,
That's exactly what happens. Sometimes you got all this stuff, and you sit there and going, no, I'm not going to do any of this.
no, but it's so true. But, like, writing is so sporadic, and then, I think a lot of us, even great writers that are just, like, on Amazon and Barnes and Nobles or whatever, you know, maybe it's the process is amazing, right? You could take how many indie authors or just really big time authors, and you could probably have 10 writers or 20 writers in a room, and you're going to come up with 20 different ideas. It's same thing, writing a comic, and then Lou doing his artwork, because, like, how does he approach writing a clay figure? Writing a clay figure, making a clay
Writing a clip
figure.
figure.
Yeah, how does he come about formulating it? His armor, or making, like a figure that he did, like he's showing, like the master, right, with the shogun. Like, that could, like, I look at that and I'm like, man, that had to be a really hard piece to make. Just look at that detail on that and be like, man, he goes, that has more detail than Iron Man does, or Deadpool, or Wolverine, because it's, his face structure, you
And I
know
gotta say, like Frank's talking about and me and him have already had this discussion of that kilt of his right there. It just like it looks like it's moving, it looks like it's flowing.
yeah, it
And I gotta
does.
say, Shadow, you did a great job with
He does.
Oh, thank you, guys. Hey, I can't write a book though, so everyone's
I
that.
got
I
something.
I can't do clay figures, so there you
Uh,
go. And I can't make wood covers either.
I gotta say, speaking of the wood, dude, this is just excellent. I know I showed it off the last time you were on, but I'm a big Princess Bride fan, and of course we all know this because Shadow made me my little Jedi Princess Bride. I'll bring it
That
up
movie
again.
was awesome. That was a great movie.
That's
Yeah, my little
great.
Jedi Princess. Hello, my name is Ralph from the Written Writ, and I'm
That's
creating
awesome.
stories.
That's great.
Yeah, he did a great job. It was a fun project that Shadow and I got together with, and we got all the Apple Teenies their own little figures.
That's
Oh, that's
great.
that's cool. I didn't know. I knew Ralph had yours. I didn't know you. Little.
Oh, pay attention! Like when Tony's on the show, he'll
Yeah.
show off his figure because his figure is a Spidey type figure, and it sticks onto the iron, onto the metal stuff because Shadow, which is what I love when he gets creative, put magnets on the bottom of it so Tony can actually stick it onto the fridge or onto anything.
I didn't realize that. I haven't seen Tony. I know
Oh,
he's.
he's been a little busy. He was supposed to go with me this weekend, but my ride is completely gone, and I'm trying to see if I can make it on Saturday. Well, I guess we'll see what happens. Speaking of which, Bruce, you're going to be there at Garden State Comic Fest Winterfest, and you're going to be showing off all this beautiful stuff. Why don't you tell the people where they can find you, where you're going to be? You know.
I'm going to be on Artist Row. I don't remember my booth number, to be perfectly honest with you, but Artist Row is not that big. There's two buildings up there. The building on the right is where they have a lot of the vendors. The building on the left is where Artist Row is going to be. That's where I'm going to be. So, look, no one ever goes to a con to see one person. Everybody goes in, they pay their money, they look at every single booth. So I'm not worried about anybody trying to find me specifically. Walk around, have a good time, stay safe, and bring your mittens.
I agree, folks. It's a great place. I love that location. It's an amazing location, and you have so much room. And there's two buildings of stuff to check out.
Mm-hmm. And they have food trucks, lots of food trucks.
Oh, beautiful, beautiful food trucks with beautiful food that you can eat and enjoy.
And it's also a really rustic, bucolic environment back there. It's really beautiful. It's really pretty up there in the nicer weather also. But in the winter, it's pretty cool. It's a nice place.
What building is this?
The buildings are all interconnected. And when he's utilizing the whole space, it really works because I don't know how it's going to be with being so cold, but you want to go explore the other buildings to see what the hell's going on over there.
Right. There's only two buildings, and they're only about 10 feet apart or 20 feet apart. They're just two big empty buildings. Nothing special about the buildings, but it just flows nicely.
Last time he was utilizing like other spaces in the back.
Yes. Yeah. I'll be surprised.
More than two buildings.
Yeah, but I think this time because of the weather, he's going to have lots of vacancies. But that's just my guess, and I hope I'm wrong. But we'll see. We'll see.
What, folks, you need to go and see what's going on and enjoy and get yourself a piece from Bruce. Well, let me ask you this, Bruce. If somebody wants to commission you, what do they got to do?
They can reach out to me through my Instagram account, Sazama Creations, SAZAMA Creations. My email is SazamaCreations@gmail.com. And I'd be happy to talk to anybody about anything. There you go. That's how you find me.
And folks, dude, I gotta say, like, I've seen you do some interesting commissions for people, and wow.
Thanks, much appreciated. It's nice having a bald fan.
I gotta say, I think one of my best things is your business card.
Yeah, it's made out of wood.
Yeah,
that's great.
It's made out of wood.
I have mine in a nice special place.
Yeah, it's made out of wood. Luckily for me, my sister-in-law has a laser, and she came up with that idea. She goes, "You can't give out cardboard cards. You're doing wood burning." So She burns them for me on the laser. So that's pretty cool. Everybody likes it. I can almost guarantee that when people leave the show and they got all that crap in their pockets, the last thing they throw away is a wooden business card.
I agree.
Yeah.
I gotta say, like, I just found a good place to put it so I can look at it.
Yeah, but you don't need it. You've got the Bruce hotline, so you don't need it, Ralph.
No. It's gonna get jealous. Come on.
Oh my God, a friend of yours is a friend of mine.
Go check him out. He does fantastic work.
Thank you.
yeah, I can't I can't stop gushing about them. And I love your relationship to all the creators. Like you said, you love meeting the creators. I think one of the reasons I like you so much is because you're just like us. We want to spread the word. We want to showcase all these people, and let them get their chance to shine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, as we say in Jewish, you're doing a mitzvah. You bring goodness to the world.
And I love, dude. That's the whole reason Bit and Apple started, was because I was looking around and going, where do these guys get their own press? They should get their own press. Look at all the beautiful stuff they're making, and I'm like, I need to showcase this. I need to show this off.
Well, it's working, and
10
we
years,
all
folks.
appreciate it.
10 years.
It's working.
Oh my God, Frank, tell all the people all the good stuff where they can find you, because you are going to be at the Indie Art Show as well. So
Yeah, the Indie Art Show is Super Bowl weekend. It's on Saturday. It's from 1 to 8 p.m. at the what was the brewery now? Um,
the Great South Bay
Great
Brewery.
South
Great,
Bay.
thank you. Yeah, the Great South Bay Brewery, awesome place. Come down and say hello and meet the legendary Frank Destefano, the
Wow.
creator of the dark legend of the foreigner. Come.
I gotta
Boy, am
say,
I glad I went before him.
I gotta say,
Didn't have
folks,
that one
I love
planned,
these
but I'm like, yeah, let me do
locations.
something smart.
Yeah, I love these locations that have other things to do. Like CradleCon is amazing because CradleCon, you're in a museum. Is the aviation museum, so you have two things to do while you're there. This is a brewery, fantastic food, great drinks. So on top of the fact that you're there for a con, and it's free, folks.
Yeah.
Free admission. Very few cons do this anymore. It's free admission, so you get a lot of bang for your buck. So you
And
go over there and you actually get to take some of the creator stuff home, because
yeah.
you can actually afford it.
Yeah, and like Ralph said, it's free. You walk around and you get to check out some great artwork, some great craftsmanship. Whether it's prints or whatever books, or whatever other creators are going to be there and creating their own craft. So it's really great, and then the public gets to mingle with all the great creators that we have. And it's a great show. It's a great show
It
for
is.
the public to come down and check things out that they would have not seen maybe someplace else, or you know and then, I mean, and football season's been over for the Jets and Giants. So people that are there for the same
Well, it's
cause will
on
be like,
Saturday, so they can still watch their Super Bowl.
I
It's
know.
just come enjoy the Saturday.
Yeah, it's just like they're drinking. Oh man, we really wish the Jets and the Giants were in the
Yeah,
postseason.
and it's a bar too, so you guys can go and talk, and they're probably gonna have sports up on the screens, and at the same time, you can enjoy the convention, because, dude, I think, like I said, I love places that you can do multiple things in. It's the same thing with
Yeah,
Garden State Comic Fest and the fairgrounds, because it's locations add to the convention. It
really,
just
it's
gives you
another
something
dimension. It
extra.
is.
Yeah,
You know, and the food prices are really good too. So it's
yeah,
it's not like they're like most
excellent
conventions.
food as well.
Yeah, well, yeah, they really do have some great food there. Like I brought my son there last year, and he was like, "Man, this place is great. The food is
Oh yeah.
good." And then just to hang out with people that you just don't see too often. Like
Yeah, like me. I'll be there having fun at the Indie Art Show. And guess who else will be there?
Shadow.
Mr. Shadow Rabbit.
Yeah, I
I'll
know.
be there.
And I
Looking
Shadow
haven't
forward
Rabbit's
seen
to
gonna
it.
you
be hanging
guys.
out with me. And of course the Game of Tunes will be there as well. So Shadow, why don't you tell the
Oh,
people a little bit about
nice.
yourself, and I'll show off your stuff and tell them where they can find you.
Oh, okay. Hey, I'm Lewis, Shadow Rabbit Clay Guy. You can get me on Instagram or at my website, shadowrabbitart.com. And I make little stuff out of clay, completely custom, handmade, whatever you want, concept art, your own characters, something cool you can't find somewhere else. Hit me up and we'll see what we can do. This
Folks,
is for Dennis Knight commissioned this for his partner in the new like they're working on Chronicles.
Yeah. And the Son of a Saint actually does a cover for these guys.
You know something? The funny thing is, Dennis sent me the guy, and I'm looking at it. I'm like, man, this style looks really familiar. And I see at the bottom of the page, like half of Son of a Saint symbol. I'm like, I wonder if he made this. I asked him, I was like, did you do the concept art for these? He's like, yeah. I was like, oh, that's great. Can I get some other angles of the character?
Isn't it great knowing the Son of a Saint?
Hey, you never know, man. So he's like, oh yeah, yeah. So he sent me like the different angles for him to finish it off, and I just filled in the rest with,
Lou, how long does it take you to
little
do one of
touches.
those things, start to finish?
Well, I didn't have all the info, so that one probably took weekend or something.
And
I
then you
went pretty
fire
quick
it and
though.
paint it, and then you fire it and paint it.
It is all colored clay. That's actually epoxy.
Okay.
So it's like plumber's putty.
Yep.
You mix the A and B together, and you've
Yep.
got about an hour of work time.
Yep.
Mm.
So yeah, I don't paint anything, and I don't have to fire stuff anymore unless I'm using a Sculpey or some kind of polymer based clay, which I use a lot less now. I've moved a lot more towards the epoxy. It's just harder, and it's just more in my wheelhouse of not knowing how much time I have to work on something. So I just get cooking and see what comes out.
Very cool. Very, very cool. I'd love to see it live.
Oh, definitely. You got to see it
Absolutely.
live. I think one of my favorite things is
The
watching Shadow because he makes the little clay figures, the little ones, right there in front of you. And if you give him an idea, he'll make it for you.
Wow.
Yeah, that's what I do at the at shows and just for fun. Mini
Amazing.
sculptures of anything. Thank you.
Wow.
Hey, that guy
Wow.
looks cool.
And of course, he's worked with Frank down there. This is Frank's character.
Amazing.
I've got a feeling Frank might see that guy in person pretty soon.
Yeah,
Ooh.
I know we've been missing each other. I know.
Finally know
last
where you're
time I
gonna be
saw.
one of these days. So
So I talked about Ralph being where's Waldo. Where's Frank?
I
Well,
hear you,
Frank,
bro.
you've been busy. You've been all over the freaking country.
Oh man, yeah. I mean, Orlando is. I mean, I got Long Island Horror Con, which is at the end of February, and then I got March's MegaCon. So like literally a week before I turned 50. So it's kind of
Wow. That's a way to celebrate your 50th birthday.
Oh man,
That was a long time ago.
He doesn't want to hear that. He's like, man, like I don't have gray hair. I try not to, but
I barely got hair.
Don't start.
But yeah, MegaCon is a great show. I've been doing it. Like I said, I think this is like the third or fourth year that I've been doing it. Man, each year it grows, and that's a bigger show. And as much as like I did New York for the first time, so I can't go on other years. But MegaCon is still my best show ever.
Good show. And I got to say, a lot of our friends hit MegaCon, which is always bugging me out because it's almost like and I keep thinking about it. Is I'm going to go to MegaCon and I'm going to go see all the people I know, and I'm going to be like, dude, I'm in Florida. I should have been seeing half you.
Yeah, there are people that I've seen. Who's your McCall is going down there. He does the comic. He was at the Flip show yesterday. I can't remember his name. He was at New
That's
York.
another Joe, the Flip Show in Long Island.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, I did that yesterday. So it's.
See, look. Frank's always all over the place.
Well, that's very convenient because that Flip show's in West Babylon, and it's like 2 seconds from my house.
Those are the best shows. See, that's what Bruce was talking about. Like this show is like only an hour away from your house, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, like I want to try to get to more Long Island ones to it, so I stay in my area for just on Long Island. But like I said, it's so hard to find, shows that are consistent that are on Long Island. Tri-state area is different, but and that depends which bigger shows that I tend to go lean towards. It might be on the same weekend, so that makes it tougher when,
I gotta
like
say, I think that's the other problem is that you're doing all these other shows, and your schedule kind of like conflicts with these other
yeah, it
shows that are
does.
in Long Island. So you'll probably be in Florida while this local show is happening.
I know.
You'll probably be in Texas while this local show is happening. So you don't get to go.
Yeah, I know. I'm going to where, like where, my business is done, done well over there. So I mean, I don't know what my Long Island crowd though, but it's kind of tough when you comparing, like a MegaCon or Dallas Fan Expo or a Boston, right? Or any of those type of shows, and then you got a local Long Island one. I'm like, yeah, those are my like made shows that I just gotta do,
And that's
so.
how it is, folks. Sometimes you got to pick the shows you got to do because that's just the way it
That's it.
is. And I'm looking at the time now. You're gonna say something, Bruce?
No, it's like looking at the time. I'm done.
Okay. I'm looking at the time now, and we are at the 1:30 mark, which means it's time for us to go. I know you're enjoying yourselves, and you're going, Ralph, wait. And you 10 people that just showed up, you 10 people, you go rewatch the show because, we already did the show. You're showing up now. Go rewatch the show, okay?
A lot of good stuff.
Exactly. Great conversations. Folks, you got to see some of these conversations we had on this show today between Bruce, Frank, and Shadow Rabbit. You got to go check it out. So go watch the rewatch. And with that, I'll say, hey, it's time for me to press the button. And when you know what happens when I press the button,